Aye, hey, welcome to Uganda. It's the Pile of Africa. Hey, it's your boy Big Mo 256 and Gary, welcoming you to the 256. Hey, here we go. You give me light, you give me hope, you give me an origin to shine out to the globe, yeah. You give me rain, I don't complain, I feel the nature like a Ugandan crane, yeah. Don't forget about the bar watching, when was the last time you saw Mother Nature like this, yeah. Welcome to the 256 where we eat your commando and the Rolexes.
I know you will be amazed, yeah. Amazed, yeah. In Uganda you will feel something special. I know you will be amazed, yeah. Amazed, yeah. In Uganda you will feel something special.
I see monkeys, chimpanzees, from tree to tree to keep jumping. The gorillas too will be trucking in the thick jungle, that's windy. Let me take you to the west side, Broski, where we got big rocks and now we're rocking. We're still going up this mountain climbing. There's a place down here that's kinda side B. We'll be going down straight, this bungee jumping. Touch that lake and eat the big fish, and eat the big fish and meet the big fish. Up to the north the world can see we like we Kidepo Game Park where the lions be. Hosting you is kinda my thing. Getting all hot, that's a hot spring.
I know you will be amazed, yeah. Amazed, yeah. In Uganda you will feel something special. I know you will be amazed, yeah. Amazed, yeah. In Uganda you will feel something special.
You give me light, you give me hope, you give me an origin to shine out to the globe, yeah. You give me rain, I don't complain, I feel the nature like a Ugandan crane, yeah. Don't forget about the bar watching, when was the last time you saw Mother Nature like this, yeah. Welcome to the 256 where we eat your commando and the Rolexes.
I know you will be amazed, yeah. Amazed, yeah. In Uganda you will feel something special. I know you will be amazed, yeah. Amazed, yeah.
Well. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our series. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. Can you guys hear me? I hope you can. Yes, so welcome to our series of a webinar. And first of all, you're welcome again. First of all, housekeeping rules. Okay, for those who are at home or in the living room or in the car or whatever, be safe. Just make sure that you're in a safe place because we've been pulled up before regarding this. So I'm asking you guys to make sure you're in a safe place when you're watching this webinar. Otherwise, it's going to be recorded anyway, so you really don't have to watch it live now. Okay, just for the safety of everything else. Okay, right. As people are joining in, maybe let me start by introducing myself. My name is Ian from KI Media World and Brand Uganda. And at KI Media World, all we do is promote Uganda. We promote the good stories. We tell the untold stories about Uganda, the positive ones, right? It could be from somebody's business or it could be knowledge. So hence, in this particular webinar, we thought maybe Ugandans in diaspora probably need to know the tax laws or their business obligations that they do have. And talk about that, we have Uganda Revenue Authority in the house, ladies and gentlemen. We have two wonderful people, Michael and Rhoda, and they are representing Uganda Revenue Authority. Now, I don't know whether you know about the history behind Uganda Revenue Authority. We It was established in 1991 by the parliament, and it has been growing rapidly. It has expanded now, and I think, as per 2015, they had about 2,900 employees. And last year they collected 25 trillion, right? Because the financial year started yesterday on the first, and they hope to get, these are figures given to me, they hope to get 29 trillion in this coming financial year. I don't know whether it's achievable, but I'm hoping it should be achievable. Right. So we have in the house, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Michael and Rhoda. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Right. Michael, tell us, introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do, basically?
Thank you, Ian, and thank you to KI Media and Brand Uganda. I'm Michael Masembe. I serve at the Uganda Revenue Authority in the Public and Corporate Affairs Division. I'm glad to be here. My role usually in URA is to do taxpayer education. I do every awareness work and role assigned to me to make sure that every taxpayer, every Ugandan, every operator who has tax obligations knows what those obligations are and is assisted to actually fulfill and meet them. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And Rhoda, you're welcome.
Thank you, Ian. My name is Rhoda Basamera. I am a customs officer at Uganda Revenue Authority, and anything regarding customs. Customs is majorly the import. Customs majorly deals with import and export taxes. So anything regarding importations and exportations, I am right here to deal with that.
Oh my God, Rhoda, people are going to have questions for you.
I
Things
am
to do
ready
with
to
import and
them.
export, as in diaspora, that is what, those are the key things that we want to know. That's the beauty about these webinars, because sometimes we don't have time to read the newspapers or to go on YouTube and stuff. This 1 hour session sometimes quickly can resolve, an answer. Say, for example, now, if anybody out there viewing, if you want to ask any questions, please, the chat is open. You can put your question in the chat, and somebody will pick it up, and we will then ask the representatives online. Okay, right. Let us start with Michael. I know you have a presentation to give us today. Let me see how we can pull this together. And so, there you go. So, right. Do you want to go?
Yes, thank you very much, Ian. I'm glad KI Media has given us this opportunity. And what I'll be doing today is to share with you a bit on the key taxes within what you're doing inside Uganda that you may need to appraise yourself on. Those are the income taxes for you as a company, as an individual, depending on what you're actually dealing in, the value added tax, and all the other peripheral taxes relating to the same. Now, I understand we have within this audience the diaspora community, and I appreciate the fact that many of you have setups, investments, or interests within Uganda, and you would like to know and understand what are the tax implications of whatever setup you have back here. Or you could be assisting a colleague to handle the tax issues here in Uganda, even when you are not inside Uganda. But I would like to shed a bit of light on who you're actually dealing with. Who is URA? What is URA? Ian has already given us a bit on the URA, set up 1991, right now making 32 years. And the mandate is basically to assist you in the assessment of your own taxes. And then we collect the taxes and account for those taxes to the government through the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And after, within our experience, we're also required to give guidance to the minister on any matters relating to tax.
So we have set out a strategic direction as URA to cultivate this culture that it is voluntary, that whoever has tax obligations to URA, to the government, comes through without any pushing, so to say, but does so voluntarily. And the intent in us mobilizing is that we have an economically independent Uganda, but we would like to do this in a very transparent and efficient manner, cost effective manner, efficient and very effective manner. And while we are doing that, we hope that you are able to see, even without us telling you, but you're able to see that we are professional, we are persons of integrity, and we show patriotism in what we do. Where you see a gap in any of that, kindly use any of the contact channels that I'll be sharing with you at the end of this presentation uh, to give us that self-check, a pulse check on where we need to improve. Ian, next. So this is basically what we're going to be looking at, the services that URA gives, the obligations and rights that you have. I would like to also give you a few tips on the domestic taxes. Rhoda will come with the other part. And then what incentives are there for you? You will be maybe interested in setting up a business or an investment in Uganda. There are some incentives that you may need to look at to give you better choice of the selection you make. And yeah, the last one is what Ian introduced us to, the feedback. I'll be waiting to pick your feedback and questions next. Okay. Think next slide. So the services that URA gives, forgive me, this slide is a bit small, but the services are to see that you are assisted to register. URA is not doing you a favor to register you. They are required. We are required to register you at any point. And this is available to you online. When you visit the ura.go.ug website, ura.go.ug, you're able to register yourself. You're able to amend your registration. Your email could have changed. You could have registered with URA at the time and you had a source of income as business, but right now it's employment, or you have rental. So you can amend your registration. You can deactivate in case you realize there is no active business within your profile or within your activities. You can deactivate for that time and reactivate later when you see there is business activity happening within your enterprise. Then you can also, we verify, it's a service. We verify certain details that you may need to confirm. Then we assist you in the filing of declarations and making of payments for tax to government. It could be a payment or an additional payment. If you're filing, it could be a declaration of your income or of your employee payments and salaries or withholding tax. We also handle declarations for cargo entering the country and exiting the country, or if you are coming into the country temporarily and there are some temporary items, or could be a vehicle that you're coming in with. There are many declarations that we assist and facilitate people coming into Uganda or exiting Uganda to make. Other services that you may also benefit from URA are objections. At times, you may have an assessment that is not fair, that you find to be unfair. You have a right to appeal and to object to that assessment to the highest court in the land. But the objections start with your discussion to the officer who has given you maybe an assessment. And the objection is not only to a tax payment decision by URA, but it can be on anything that you find is coming from URA and you're not agreeable to it. You can make that objection, and we will discuss through the channels which you make over the URA website, and we will come to a common understanding. Then we also have to do this, exactly what KI Media has enabled us to do, to give you information on all platforms and in all blends that are fit for your circumstances. be it an audio message, a multimedia kind of dissemination of information, printed, and so on and so forth. So these services are there, and I need to say URA services are free of charge. If there is any service that you have to pay for, it has to be to a bank. We don't take any form of payment. It has to be to a bank, and you register that via the URA website. Next, Ian. I was talking about the other services that we do and we offer. We audit. It's a service. We profile and update taxpayer profiles to be sure that we are assessing you in the category in which you actually exist. We cannot assess you as a farmer when you're actually in a wholesale and retail trade. We also investigate and inspect, as Rhoda will be sharing with you. We assist in the valuation. We also work on the invoicing of items that are being sold. We provide systems for that, and also the production lines to monitor what is being produced and what's being imported. We also provide service centers. We have service centers where you can walk in and get assistance. We conduct client meetings like this virtual meeting or discussion that is happening. If a client is not able to meet with us physically, we can conduct such a meeting online. We have a client relationship management tool called the URA Touchpoint, where you are invited. It is touchpoint.ura.go.ug, where you can go and lodge any form of request and query that you may need to be appraised or guided on. We also track transactions using our digital tracking solutions, and even cargo that is moving into within the country and exiting the country. And we also offer taxpayer mobile services, where we help you wherever you are in our remote villages of wherever remote in the country. We have mobile bus units that go camp into a locality for like a week, and we assist those people in the services of URA that they may ideally not get, because URA's footprint is not in every district in the country. Next. So I wanted to talk about your rights and obligations, but first I will talk about your rights, because in the entire part of the rest of the presentation, I'll be talking about your obligations. Number one on your rights is to be assisted by URA to meet the obligations that are expected of you. If you want to register, I should assist you, and free of charge. If you want to make a declaration to URA, I should assist you to process your documents, and free of charge. And then you have a right to equity, confidentiality, and customer care. Just in case you walk into URA office, we are not doing you a favor to process any of your documents or any of your transactions. And your information with us is that sacred. It is that confidential, and we should keep it as such. We are required by law. And then to treat you like any other person. Regarding objections and appeals, I think we talked about that. And then the tax refunds, in case you overpay. In case you overpay or your business is closing and you had paid certain taxes in excess, you have a right to a refund. And then prior notices. If I'm coming to have maybe an audit with your business, I have to inform you in advance. And then to account to you on the tax paid. When you pay tax to I must tell you, dear Michael, dear Ian, we have received this amount of money from you for pay as you earn, for income tax, and so on and so forth. We have to account to you on what the tax you have paid has been appropriated to. Next. And I think we spoke about this, but once you've registered, your taxpayer registration certificate would look like that image that has certificate of registration. That is proof you've registered. I just wanted to show that here. We can go to the next. These are the items that you may need to register for tax identification number. For an individual, all you need is a national ID, NIN. A NIN, if you have it, you go to ura.go.ug, the website of Uganda Revenue Authority, and you click e-services. when you have your NIN, the National Identification Number, you just click Instant TIN. When you put in the NIN, it will fetch your details. You punch in around 5-6 details, and then you click Submit, and your TIN will be, the tax identification number will be there instantly. Where you do not have this national identification number as an individual, you can use either your passport, your visa, your residence permit, your bank statement for 90 days, your locality ID, your national social security card number, and so forth. And 2 of those documents, or driver's license, 2 of those can help you to register. For a company, we will need a certificate of incorporation and company form 7. You go to your website, ura.go.ug, and you click e-services, and you'll see where to download the form, fill, and upload to the URA website. We'll be able to process your tax identification number in 2 days. For instant TIN, it's instant for individuals, but for non-individuals, it may take 2 days for us to process. Next, Ian. These are the major taxes for which we would expect you to meet obligations. For companies, it is corporation tax at 30%. For individuals, the rate changes as you increase in your income, as your income increases. Below 2,820,000, there is no tax paid. But beyond that, as an individual, there is tax that will be payable at 10%, 20%, 30%, or an additional 10%, making it 40% ideally, if you earn above 10 million in a month. There is presumptive tax, which varies between 80,000 to 900,000 per year for small businesses that do not have to go into the hassle of keeping documents to show profit, loss, or what. That computation can be tricky for some people. Pay as you earn for salaried persons. Rental income tax at 12% or 30% for companies. 12% for individuals above the threshold of 2,820,000 as your rental income, and 30% for companies after offsetting expenses. But of course, your expenses here in that particular year cannot go beyond 50% of your earnings. Then value-added tax on particular goods at 0% for goods that are deemed, allow me to say, very essential, exempt for some other favored items, and standard rated items are charged value-added tax at 18%. We have local excise duties for particular manufactured and imported items. For customs duties and taxes, Rhoda will share with us in the next segment of our share in this discussion. And then we have withholding taxes. Next. Okay, about this, the taxes, I think we've highlighted them. What taxes do you have to file and pay when? The withholding taxes are paid where you make payments to either employees, which becomes pay as you earn, which is item number 2, or to people who make supplies to you. These could be providers of professional management services. You could be making payments to international providers of service or any other supplies and goods. And this is supposed to be filed and paid. Withholding tax and pay as you earn have to be made and paid within 15 days. Now, yesterday in Uganda, Friday was 30th June. It was the end of the financial year, but particularly for withholding taxes, one has now to start. We are in July. It is 2nd July in Uganda. And so you're expected to be filing until 15th July, the withholding tax for the month that ended on Friday. That is the month of June. So you have 15 days. You're given 15 days to file the returns and show that I have 10 employees from whom I took these salaries, and I'm knocking off this pay as you earn as tax, and I'm paying it to URA. That has to be done in the 15 days. That is vaguely 2 weeks that follow the month. Then income tax, that is where a business has made profits, there is income tax paid. If the business has made a loss, then there is a loss which has to be carried forward into the next year and knocked off before we look at the profits that would be taxed in that year. So in that case, you would be expected to file returns for the year that has ended. Now, I want to paint still this picture. The financial year in Uganda ended on 30th June. That was on Friday. And so you're given 6 months to file the income tax returns. So you're given 6 months. So it means right now you can file a return for the year that ended, for the year that started 1st July 2022 and ended on Friday 30th June 2023. You're still within the window of these 6 months to file that return and show any profit or loss. And if there is profit, pay the tax. And then presumptive tax, we shall discuss this later. Filing returns, we've discussed that, Ian. We are short on time. I would like to quickly run. We've also shared on this, on the taxes that you have to pay. But this is where I wanted us to look at the taxes that are paid, especially for individuals who have made profit. You realize if your profits in a year are below 2,820,000, you don't pay tax as an individual. But if your profits are between 2,820,000 and 4,020,000, you pay tax of 10%. 10% is the tax that you pay. And in the next band, you pay tax at 20%. And in the last band, you pay tax at 30%. Given that we are short on time, Ian, I would ask that we go to the next, where we have one who needs clarification on any item. We'll come back to that. And for small businesses, like I earlier noted, there are businesses that may not have the capacity to keep detailed records on their business. Most of our sole proprietors, small businesses in Uganda, do not have that complex capacity to organize records and compute profit, deductions, depreciation, add backs, and so on and so forth. So in the next slide, Ian, we are shown how these businesses actually are able to predetermine their tax by looking at just their turnover. Okay, previous one, Ian, the previous. A small business in Uganda can just tell URA that my sales are between 10 to 30 million and your tax is 80,000 if you don't keep records. My sales are between 30 to 50 million and the tax you pay is 200,000. That is small businesses. Within this category, we do not consider professionals and public entertainers or public providers of utility services. So this is looking at any other person who is not a professional, an accountant, a doctor, an actuary, insurance service provider. You're a professional. You're not expected to be a small business taxpayer, but anyone who is within wholesale, garage, carpentry, salon business, you just look at this table, and if you see that you are between 50 to 80 million, your tax is 400,000 in a year. You just go to the URA website, register that payment, or click *285#. It is a mobile service payment solution that we have, *285#, and you choose presumptive tax, which is for small business. You make that payment, and all your tax affairs with URA are sorted. All your tax affairs are sorted with URA. Next slide, sir. Here, I wanted to paint for you a picture for persons who may be having transport business in Uganda. You could have maybe transport business. You have a bus or a trucks that are involved in ferrying goods or passengers. Now, for each passenger in Uganda, the tax is 20,000. So if it's a border in Uganda pays income tax of 20,000. So you just make one payment and all your tax business is sorted. If it's a goods carrying vehicle and it has tonnage of 2 and above, each ton is 50,000 tax. So if it is 10 tons, then it means you pay 500,000 and so on and so forth. So you just look at the tonnage or the number of passengers. If it's a ton, 50,000 per ton. If it's a passenger, 20,000 per passenger. And next. So for rental income tax, permit me, I share with you on the individuals. For individuals, the tax starts at 2,820,000. So if you earn above 2,820,000, whatever is above 2,820,000 is charged tax at 12%. In the example you're being shown, the person earns 6 million as rental income. So from the 6 million, we subtract 2,820,000. The balance, which is 3,180,000, is taxed 12%, and 12% is 381,600. That is the example that I'm showing you on the screen, basically. So you just get what you earn out of the houses or rented property, subtract 2,820,000 as an individual. The balance, calculate tax at 12%, and that is the tax. Next. For companies, you subtract expenses, and the balance is charged tax at 30%. So you get still the 6 million, subtract the expenses, and what remains is charged tax at 30%. But where your expenses are above 50% of the income, the rest of the expenses, which is above 50%, is taken and it is considered in the next financial year. In one particular year, we can only accept expenses within half of the income you've earned out of your houses or rented property if you're a company. Next, Ian. Okay, I wanted to share a bit on the sale of property, just in case you sell a property. If it has gained, the gain on that sale is taxed at 30%. But if you're selling a residential owner-occupied house, residential owner-occupied, there is no tax on that particular item. The rest, I think it will be for the benefit of the members to share, because we need to create time for Rhoda. I would like, Ian, that you take us quickly a bit on the slides for the incentives. The next slides for incentives. Next one. Yes. I wanted us to look at the investments that one would maybe look at if they were in the diaspora and you want to plow money back into your country. These areas that you're looking at are highly favored when you are investing in Uganda. If you're setting up a vocational or a technical institute, if you're in the business of logistics and warehousing, ICT, commercial farming, in the manufacture of tires, footwear, mattresses, toothpaste, medical appliances, pharmaceuticals, building materials, household appliances, and many others, furniture, pulp, paper printing, publishing, and instructional materials, these are highly favored, as Ian will be showing us in the next slide. When you look at these, and Ian, next slide. When you look at these items and you into their manufacture, there are exemptions that have been made for income tax, value-added tax, local excise duty, and stamp duty. But these are the conditions that you're expected. These are the conditions that you are expected to fulfill. Now, the exemption for income tax takes 10 years. But if you're not a Ugandan, I mean, if you're not a national, then you're expected to have an investment of 10 million. But for a resident or a citizen, that is our colleagues in the diaspora, by the mere fact that you have a permanent home in Uganda, you consider the resident, the investment you're expected to make is for USD 300,000. Okay, so you can benefit from this incentive on income tax exemption. And if you are in the other sectors, the vocational, pharmaceutical, pulp, paper, those other sectors that I showed you, the investment you need is 300,000 to make that investment, and the exemption will be for you. Or if the investment is in Uganda again, but it is up country, you need half of that, 150,000 USD. Okay, that's all that you'll need. The other condition is you need to use local raw materials, around 70%, local materials, raw materials that you need to be using. And then you need to be using local labor. We need to see the jobs going back to Ugandans, and not all the labor. I mean, 70% of the labor, but even the payroll share, 70% should be going to Ugandans. Next slide. The offer also extends on the lease of land, where you have to pay stamp duty, local excise duty if you're buying building materials, value added tax still on the same. But looking at even the lease of land, where you're going to share, I mean, to set up this enterprise, where you would pay 1% stamp duty on the acquisition of such property, you're exempted. So whatever you see in the brackets is the would be stamp duty, but ideally you do not pay it. Okay, you don't pay stamp duty on the transfer of land, increase in share capital, equitable mortgages. Remember, there is stamp duty if you're making these transactions, but ideally here you do not pay if you're making those investments. Next, Ian. I wanted to share the service platforms because we know our colleagues out there may not have an opportunity to walk into a URA office. So our toll-free lines may not be reachable, but at least our email services@ura.go.ug is available. The touch point at ura.go.ug is there for you to share. Lodge your issue. It could be a request for feedback. It could be a question. Lodge it, and we'll be able to answer to you. It is our CRM, the client relationship management tool that you need to use. We have a WhatsApp line, 077214. Don't forget to put in the 256 plus 256 772 140 000. And our website, ura.go.ug, has a lot of information that you would like to benefit from. Thank you very much. If there is any information, I'll wait to hear from you during the feedback session. Thank you very much, Ian. That's the way first I could do it.
Wow. That was a lot of information to take in, honestly, Michael. My question, first of all, before we go any further, right?
Yes.
What do you guys expect from us in the diaspora or Ugandans in the whole? What do you expect from us?
Thank you, Ian. Now, there is one. We have colleagues who have come in the diaspora, but they left their registration in Uganda active. So, right. Ian, you left Uganda 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. You went to the diaspora. We don't know that you went. But while you're in Uganda, you registered 14. So we are still sending reminders to pay tax. Yet you have nothing to do with the income tax payment in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important that you deregister. Okay, deregister with the Uganda Revenue Authority. You indicate, dear URA, you previously knew me as an employee in ABC in Uganda, or you previously knew me as an operator of a business. I'm no longer in Uganda. I don't have any income source in Uganda. So deactivate. Otherwise, we are sending reminders and assessments. We are not aware that you left the country. That is one. Two, for those who have, there is a deactivation form. Kindly go to the URA website, ura.go.ug, download, go under e-services, go under, down in the footer, there is download manual forms. Download that form, fill it, sign it, and send it to your URA website, which we have shared there, services.ura.go.ug. Now, that is one. Two, for those who have entities in Uganda, please file your provisional returns now. The financial year has started. If you project to earn certain income from your rented houses in Uganda or your rented property in Uganda, file the provisional, because vaguely you can estimate what you expect from your tenants. File the provisional return within these 6 months, because around December we are enjoying the year. Some of you are having your travels back to Uganda. It's travel time. Mm-hmm. You get it? Mm-hmm. So you don't want to file your provisional returns in December. There is a lot of travel, there is a lot of activity running. File your provisional returns, file your final returns now, between now and December, so there is no inconvenience at the end of the year. For now, I would rest it there. Thank you.
Excellent. Ian. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. We've got a question from YouTube here talking about the transport tax. He's talking about a drone. So the drone taxes, are they the 12-seaters or the 14-seaters? How does it work?
Oh, yes. Now, that is a 14-seater.
Right.
It's a 14-seater. It carries 14 passengers times 20,000 because every passenger pays 20,000. So
Right.
that drone, the taxi, it pays 280,000 in a year.
Right.
So you register one payment of 280,000 because that is 20,000 times 14 passengers. That is 280,000, and your business with URA is done for that for the year.
And that's for the year, right?
Yes, that's for the year. Yes.
Okay. Wow. So I mean, to be the way it is, right? When someone tells you Musolo,
Yeah,
Musolo, Musolo, people are running around. It's like,
Mm.
yeah, because you're
Si
making
kizibu
something.
ate bwe wabaawo obuzibu twebuuze. You consult from URA.
Mm,
Consult. Those service platforms are there available.
yeah.
Consult before you make any. Even if you're coming with something into Uganda. Anyway, Rhoda will share more about this.
Okay. Talking about Rhoda, I think it's time for Rhoda to come in. You're welcome back, Rhoda. And it's now your time to tell us what you have. If you just let me get your thing up here. And right, here we go. Do this quickly. Okay. Right, here we go, Rhoda.
Yes.
All yours.
Ah, you may have to note this. There's the presentation. It's a PowerPoint. You could check as you get the PowerPoint running. That is one of the attachments. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can. I can. So, let's. I don't think I got it. Did you send it to this?
Not this. That was one of the attachments. I gave you a
Okay.
PowerPoint.
Okay.
That can run on your mail.
Right. In the meantime, maybe you can tell us
Yeah.
something. Let's get it.
Okay. Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Michael, for the opportunity for that presentation that you just made. For K Media, thank you for allowing us share your space in bringing us to have this tax education. First, for starters, to add on to what Michael mentioned, on our platforms as URA, they are all active. There are those that were non-put. We are available on Twitter, on YouTube. We are there. This is such a short time for us to indulge and go into the depth of everything. So in case there's any more information that you need, please feel free to reach out to our YouTube channel, URA. It's called URA TV on YouTube. There are very many videos that are recorded there for you, guiding you in anything that you need to know about taxes. Ian, I would want to know how long I have for this presentation.
You have 20 minutes. I'm coming up now. 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you to the people, brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, for the contribution that you're doing to this economy. We appreciate that you've been able to pay taxes. I am Rhoda Basemera once again. I am an officer with Uganda Revenue Authority in the customs division. I am majorly in the area of customs valuation and all areas of customs anyway. When Ian contacted us, he requested that we talk about valuation. It is, of course, a bit hard to divulge and to dive into valuation without getting to address some of the key things that I know are always a question to very many people that live in the diaspora and be returning home. So I will be having my presentation run with an overview and the key things that we need to note as people who are living in the diaspora. And then maybe take us through the customs valuation of goods, the investment opportunities and exemptions that exist for us. And then we can have a discussion, especially if your expectations of the things that you wanted to hear about have not been mentioned. Ian, I need to confirm that you found the presentation. Or
I
I
have,
just,
yes, I have. I have found a presentation. I'm just trying to load it
okay.
up. Yeah.
Okay, so to the people that are out there, just to let us know, like Mike has shared, there are various investment opportunities that are available in Uganda. And then there are exemptions that are also available in the international trade. And Uganda, what we are doing is to encourage a lot of industrialization, because we know once we industrialize, once we develop the industries here, we create jobs for our brothers and sisters that remain behind or are here. And so we have so much that we gain from than just importing the finished goods. So we are going to be there are various exemptions that are available that a document is shared with Ian. He can share with you later about the tax incentives. We have the tax incentives in the different sectors, in the agriculture, in the hospitality, in the construction sector. In the agricultural sector, you will find, when you look at the document, you will know that we have VAT that is removed from tools like hoes. We have like breeding animals. We have seeds. We have the chicken. We have the machinery. We have tankers. All those taxes have been removed. That is VAT. They're exempted from VAT to be able to encourage you to invest in the agriculture sector and to support the agriculture sector. So a lot of those you will be seeing in the presentation as Ian is putting up. We have the hotel and tourism sector. It also has a lot of opportunities. If you have that money and want to invest back home, just come find your land, build that hotel. After you've built it, make sure you license it with the hotel regulator in Uganda. And then once you have licensed it, then we can give you exemption for the things that you're going to put in the finished hotel. We don't give exemption on, say, materials. Maybe you're going to say cement and bricks for putting up a hotel. No, we say you put it up. And once you're done, then let's consider your washing machine, your utensils, your cookers, your fridges, your air conditioner, the towels, the rugs, the furniture, all that. We want the robes that you're going to be using in there, the tourism vans that you're going to be using. We exempt them from taxes. And then we also have in the construction sector. The construction sector, majorly, we look at specialized vehicles. This is free from the import duty. And then we also have the earth moving machinery like excavators, bulldozers, cranes for construction, scaffolders, as long as you bring them from the scaffolders, you need to have brought them from the region of East Africa. They're exempted. Scaffolders are those that you put together for you to be able to do construction of your building. They are metals you put together. Yeah, we have the surveying equipment. We have goods carrying tippers. All those in the construction industry, in the construction sector, are exempted. So the opportunities exist, and it is today that we want to engage more and more and let us know about some of these opportunities which we may not be aware of. Moving on, I know the other key issue that usually comes up, especially with the people in the diaspora, is about their return to Uganda. Usually, just like we said, customs handles import and exportation. We have, of course, under the fifth schedule, we always have returning residents entitled to household and personal effects, which they have been using in their previous countries of residence. So you are always entitled to tax exemption. So if you're returning in Uganda, you've lived in the diaspora for long, or even if it is short and you feel like I need to come back home. So we don't say come and start afresh. So you are able to, if you're going to have to bring in all your things, they will be exempted from taxes. You don't have to pay taxes. But of course, there are conditions that have to be met. There are conditions which have to be met, and some of them being these goods should be for personal use. They should be household or personal effects and not goods that you're bringing in to put up in a shop, because if it's about things you're bringing to sell, you're going to compete with people who have already paid taxes. So there you will have to pay taxes. And on top of this, you are entitled to one motor vehicle which has you've been using or you've owned for the last 12 months. count 12 months from the time you start processing your shipment. So you should have registered that there should be proof that that car was yours. And how do we look at this proof? Your logbook of the car when you purchased it, your logbook should state, and we see when you bought it, how long you've been using it. So if you're able to prove this, that you've owned this car for more than 12 months from the time you are returning, then you'll be exempted. Now, for a returning resident, first of all, returning resident means a person changing resident status permanently to settle into Uganda or East Africa. Um, all items should be used, should be in reasonable quantity and not multiple quantities. The problem that we've always had, especially at the airport, when people are coming in, you come in and then you have a suitcase that has 10 phones, and then you're telling us these 10 phones are for personal use. How many phones can you hold at a time? So we will allow you your one phone. Any other thing, any other quantities that are multiple, we consider those ones commercial, because we believe you can sell. And once you sell, you are either selling it lower if you are not taxed, because you will not include that cost. And yet the people that are doing business in the country already included that. Now, the goods should be of a household nature, just like I mentioned. And for you to be considered a returnee, you should have lived in Uganda before. So if you're applying for this benefit, there should be proof that you belong to Uganda and you stayed here. So there should be proof that you were here before. So have your evidence. I left Uganda this and this time. Your passport can read when you left Uganda, and then it can show that you're returning. And then you need to be returning. You should be returning for good. That's a statement that many never want to hear. Um, Ian, have I lost you along the way? Hello? Ian, can I confirm that you're still hearing? I don't seem to. I'm waiting for you to put up the presentation for the people. Ian, are you there?
I think we've lost Rhoda. Let's see how we can connect back to her. But she was trying to explain to us a few things which are very important about people who are returning, are going to show evidence that you're returning, and people got more than one phone. Very interesting stuff. I'm hoping to have her back in. Can you hear?
Right. Yes,
Can you
me,
hear
I'm
us?
able to hear. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. I think let us continue from there without the presentation, maybe, because you're about to finish anyway. There,
Okay.
there is a few questions already. Can we jump in quickly in the questions there?
No,
Um,
I would require
sorry.
that I finish the
Okay,
presentation
fair
so
enough.
that,
Okay, okay, cool.
because you
That's
may
fine.
be asking things that I want to tell you.
Excellent. Okay, fine.
Okay, so as a returning resident, you should have reached 18 years. So all the exemptions that I'm talking about are for people that have reached 8 years. Now, for car exemption, you are entitled to have one car, and you should have owned it for 12 months. Should not That motor vehicle should not exceed 13 passengers, or loading capacity vehicle should not exceed 2 tons. So do not bring a bus and ask for and say we exempt it. No, it should not exceed the loading capacity of 2 tons. And then the returning resident should have cleared used perfect personal effects before, and not only just the car. So we can look back and know, oh, this person is actually returning. They even already brought in their goods. So you can't just be bringing the car and not, otherwise we will not have to merit that exemption. And just to remind us, you can only benefit from one car. You bring multiple, then the other you have to pay for it. So you just have one opportunity of one car. This As we look at the benefit, I want us to remember that the prior general conditions should also be kept in mind. That is, you do not bring in a car according to the laws of Uganda that exceeds 15 years from the year of manufacture. From the year of manufacture. So generally, Uganda does not allow cars that are beyond 15 years. So as you claim your exemption, the exemption can only apply to such. Now, of course, we have other travel exemptions that we also offer, and that is the first arrivals, especially the foreigners coming in the country for the very first time to work and reside here. We have exemption for your goods that you travel with, and they should also qualify to the other standard of them being used or them being in those low quantities. Students coming in to study or are returning home are also exempted from taxes, being paying taxes for their goods. And then that we have the diplomatic exemptions, then bilateral and multilateral agreements with partner states, donor agencies, and international organization with accreditation. These ones we need a communication from the Ministry of Finance. So if you are a bilateral and multilateral organization and donor agents, are international, so Ministry of Finance writes to us and then your goods are exempted. So just to let you know that many of those opportunities exist. Now, whenever you come with cargo and then we determine that you do not merit the exemption, then meaning you're supposed to pay taxes, then we charge the goods that you've come with. If you're using air transport, we will look at the cost and the insurance amount. If the goods that you're carrying are beyond $50, then we will be able to tax them. For any goods that are above $50, you will have to pay taxes. Those are goods that you send. You in the diaspora and you send a phone to your sister, to your brother, you send a laptop. Please, if it's above $50, we'll be able to tax it. And if you are coming to Uganda and you're just coming for stay or you're coming back, and we found that you have the new items that don't merit the exemption, we will look at them. We will only permit you $500. So anything about $500, you will have to pay. So note the difference. The other one is if you send the goods by themselves, it is $50. But if you have traveled, like you come on cargo plane, you come on plane, and then you're at the airport, we'll consider $500, and anything above we tax it. Now, for values, if afterwards we will determine the value of those goods for purposes of us applying for the taxes that we are going to apply. For value below 2,500, we make for you an assessment right there at the airport instantly. But if your goods that you brought are very valuable and they're beyond $2,500, we will require that you get a tin and then you hire the services of a clearing agent to do a declaration for you. So we can only register, clear taxes and capture an instant tax payment for you if your goods are below $2,500. Anything above that, we tax. Now, very many, I know the question is, how do you determine the value of my goods? I come and I tell you, I bought this phone at $20, and you're there telling us it's $800. One, for us to be able to determine the value of the goods, we will look at several requirements and the several methods that we will be using, which I'm going to be taking you through. But first, to be able to determine the customs duty or the tax that you pay, we usually get the value, the total value of your goods, we multiply it by the duty rate to be able to get the taxes. Now, different goods pay different duty rates. Now, currently, we have the 0% for raw materials. Then we have the 25% for those the goods that have had a little value addition. We have goods that are paying 60. We have even those that are paying more than 100%. Goods like alcohol, because we believe that's a luxury. Yes, so that one you will pay even more than 100% of the value. So it is the tax rate that is specified in the tariff, the rate that we apply on the value of your goods. Now, primarily, the method of valuation is the transaction value method. The law permits that we consider the transaction value. Now, transaction value is the price that you actually paid or is going to be payable for the goods that you bought. And if you should be able to prove to us beyond reasonable doubt that this is the value that I paid for my goods. And that you will prove not by word of mouth, you prove by documents, which I am going to be taking us through. If we find that you do not merit transaction value, now that is when the law says we go on and look at a transaction value that was used for identical goods. If you're bringing in, say, an iPhone, iPhone 13, and someone else has brought that same phone in the same quantities, because you may have 10 maybe 10 boxes, or you could have one piece. So we compare one piece against one piece. If a person has brought in a container, we compare the value that someone else who brought in that good from that same country at and about the same time, what did they value it at? Those that we found their goods were, their documents were okay. So once we find that that's what we compare your goods at, and we value you according to what someone else who had their documents and proper brought to us. Because in applying these values, we have to be reasonable. It's possible that someone can bring for you, I will say maybe the latest what I can say, maybe can bring in the latest. Let's go back to the iPhone. And then they are telling you, I bought it 1 million. No, you did not. And if you find on the market, it's trading for about 6 million, 7 million. So we compare all that. So the law permits that if we cannot find someone that has brought in goods around the same time, the same exact, what I mean is, if I'm saying I'm comparing Coca-Cola, I am comparing it with another Coca-Cola in the same sizes, not Sprite, not Pepsi, not anything. So that is what I mean. If I'm saying it's iPhone 13, I'm comparing with iPhone 13, not Samsung, not any other brand. If I can't, then the law permits that we look at similar goods, the value of similar goods. Similar goods is, you could be bringing in goods which are branded by that particular name, but the Chinese just changed for you the brand of the goods. But the goods in all other, they are substitutable. Like there are goods already on the market that have been brought in before. Someone has brought in goods that are more or less the same. They perform the same function, even if they are not identical. Now that's method 3 that we are talking about. After we failed to determine the value using your documents, there's no person that has identical goods. Then we look at similar goods, similar method. We use the similar method. Similar method, we are saying, if you have brought, and for similar, we compare goods which are almost in the same category or the same class. If say I chose to compare an iPhone, maybe the closest I can compare it with a Samsung. If I chose to compare maybe a Techno, I am not going to compare it with the value of an iPhone, even if they are all phones. No, I will look at for a phone maybe like what, whichever other brand that we could think of, and compare it with that. So we compare with goods that offer the same function. They are interchangeable, and yeah, they perform the same function. If we cannot determine the value based on that, the law allows us to go for deductive method, because there are 6 methods. Now deductive is the 4th. Now deductive method, we are saying, go back to the market, see how much these goods are selling, these ones that the person has brought, how much are they selling them on Ugandan market, then work backwards, get that value of that good on the Ugandan market, then subtract how much you think should have been paid in taxes, because how much it should have paid in taxes, that good, because we have the rates that those goods pay. So subtract the costs that could have, the costs that were made, inland costs in transporting these goods from maybe their warehousing to their place of sale. And if the value you're looking at is retail, then you're going to consider that if there is no wholesale anyway, because we are permitted, we start with a wholesale, because they sell in big quantities, so we believe that the price is a bit lower. So and then after reducing those costs, also remove markup. Markup is more of the profit that someone could have added on this value, to be able to, that could have added on the price to be able to come up with a general price. So once we've removed all things, that value that remains is what we subject the tax rate on. That is what we consider as the customs value. If that cannot be determined also, the law tells us to move on to the 6th. Now, sixth is computed value method. The fifth computed value method, we are saying, especially if you're manufacturers and you're big, you are your goods, it's factory, it's this is commonly applied to people who import in big quantities. We say computed, you go back to the industry. If the things are sold in China, URA has the capacity and to get officers. We go verify in those industries where the major industries, especially if it's a big tax case, where these goods are made, and then we can compute. We see this material content because we have a lab, we have a testing lab here that is in tax investigation unit that is able to measure the amount of quantity that of material that has been used in the goods and know that you've used this percent of these goods, this percent of this material, this percent of this material, to be able to come up with this item. So we look at the material cost of each of the materials that could have been used. What is their pricing put together? We know that if they are making the goods in the factory, manufacturing them, there is usually they add up. There is labor that they have to pay to the workers and all that. So in all that, we add back now that also, and then we get the computed method. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when all that fail, our final sixth method that the law permits us to use, the methods of valuation, is the fallback. Fallback method is the final method, and it says repeat these methods from 1 up to 5 in that sequential order. But the difference now, you relax the rules. If you are looking for people who imported 1 container and there's someone who imported half a container, can you compare the prices with that one? If you're looking for someone who imported maybe at around the same time in the last 2 months and there is none, can you skip and go and look at in the last 3 months or 4 months? Is the period a little, so that's the fallback. You do the necessary adjustments that go by. Now, in all that I was talking about, we say that if you remember the definition originally, the greatest challenge is people come and say you're disputing my method of concept of sale. Transaction value, you do not, even if you have documents that are written in which language and speaking how, for as long as goods were given to you free of charge, for as long as these goods were on consignment, then if the goods were imported by branches, like your branch in Kenya, in Uganda gets just goods from Kenya or from the UK, you guys, you different teams, branches are just exchanging goods, and you have these goods, you got them on lease or hire, you got them, and these, or maybe these were free goods that you got and you're saying they are going to be destroyed, they have no value. You have goods that are subject to barter trade, you just exchanged. Ladies and gentlemen, you will not benefit from the transaction value. In such cases, there's no sale that has happened, and then URA in such a case will apply these other methods, will not consider your documentation. As I conclude, as I come to the conclusion, and then just to remind us that as we do all this, please remember that these transactions should not be between related parties if you're going to come to claim the application of transaction value. Finally, key to mention or to talk about, I know there are so many other things. I will leave time for the question and answer. One other thing that I can't leave unmentioned is the documentation bit, because that is very key and that is what we base on. We've had issues where in most cases when people have imported their goods, you find they do not want to pay the top-up taxes, either because they are actually right or not right, but it is because their documents have been challenged. Now, when we're talking about documents, we are speaking about commercial documents, transport documents, financial documents. We're looking at regulatory documents as well. So in the commercial, I am talking about the purchase order. We are looking at the pro forma, the sales contract, commercial invoice, receipts, and packing list. Those are the documents that we look at, you should have and possess. Have your commercial documents in order. If you're bringing in containers, you are going to do big business, please make sure you have your transport documents, you have your bill of lading, that is issued for good people are bringing in goods via sea. You have maybe your freight invoice, you have your insurance certificate, and then have your financial documents, have your proof of payment. Don't say I paid this amount, because just by word of mouth it will not be taken. Have the TT, have the bank guarantee, have the bank draft, maybe have the cash receipt. How did you pay for these goods? Please have your documentation in place, and I can surely guarantee and tell you that you will be taxed based on the actual value that you paid, based on your documents. But if you don't, then we consider these other methods. When we look at the regulatory documents that you should have, look out for the certificate of origin for your goods, especially those that want to go into big trade. Permits or certificate of analysis, fumigation certificates, especially if you're importing in used items. Look out for psychosanitary certificates, and then look out for the transit documents. All that and any other document that you can bring will greatly appreciate. I thank you. Thank you so much. Back to you, Ian.
Oh, wow, Rhoda, that was very informative. At least I personally have picked up a lot of things from it, and thank you very, very much. Wow. I've got so many questions that have come in from Facebook, from YouTube. Let me start with this one here. That's coming from Isaac. So he's saying, I have a real estate company I registered in 2019, but I have not made any sales. Question: what should I expect from URA in regard to the annual returns?
Thank you so much, Ian. Back to over to Mike to handle in domestic tax. That's his area.
I think that is his area. Yes, I
Yes,
thought so.
yes,
I thought so.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Isaac, the scenario that you paint here is actually what we talked about, especially on deactivating. I don't know that you have not registered any sale, whether you have declared this to Uganda Revenue Authority through your tax returns, which ideally would be if you're not present in Uganda, but business is, the entity is existing, you need to keep filing your new returns to indicate to URA that yes, whereas I'm in business, there is no transaction going on, or I have not executed any transaction. But then, Isaac, I understand you could be paying rent, or I don't know, you could be incurring expenses here and there for that particular business. So it is your opportunity through filing a return that you indicate these expenses to URA such that they can be knocked off in case you're to pay tax in the future. So it is to your benefit. But if you do not intend to have any, or you don't foresee any transactions happening in the near future, my advice would be, for now, you deactivate the business. For now, deactivate until such a time when you are ready to go into operations, active operations, then you can reactivate. Your TIN will remain as it is. It will never change. But at least for the time you deactivate, we cease to expect any declarations and payments to come from you. Thank you. Yes, Jackie. What exemptions are there for new private schools? Now, I think we need to look at what is available for everyone, because for private schools, one, we know that there are exemptions that have been put on educational materials. So you will not have taxes on those that are actually on the curriculum. Even under customs, I think Rhoda will tell you about the Florence Agreement that has exempted a good number of items that are gazetted as educational. So if you are importing them into Uganda. But my guidance is, wherever you have such, you engage with the customs team first to confirm that the items you're bringing in are actually educational materials. You may think a certain magazine has material that can be educative to your learners, but a magazine cannot be used or considered. It depends. So it's really, really important. Then when it comes to the exemptions particularly, there are depreciation, there are training, there are allowances that if training expenditure, there is depreciation, there are costs startup that you're going to go through for licensing and so on and so forth that will be knocked off and deducted from your earnings as a startup school. I don't know, Ian, if we have any other questions besides that. But one thing I needed to note, I think, for us to take note of is the benefits that I am talking about here apply to anyone who is in all these sectors. So it could be that you're in a school, but they apply to anyone who is in any other sector, as I hinted. The other specific, like take 10-year tax holiday that I talked about for vocational institutions, goes for the sectors that are gazetted there that we can make reference to.
Yes, I don't think we have one more question. I think from the Facebook page. It says it. It says that there's a possibility that you could have more than one phone. Okay, so assuming you've got 5 phones and you use for all the 5 phones. Actually, I know people who have got like 6, 7 phones and they use them for different functions. How do you gauge? How do you work out or what to limba, what to
Thank you so much. I'll take that. Now, it's almost close to you convincing us if these phones you have come with the phones and they're used and then they have your lines and they are really function and we can see it that these are my phones, they are part of my luggage. But I can tell you we will not take that for new phones. We can't take goods that are in multiple numbers for exemption, especially if they are new. If they are new, we can deal with one or two at most. But for quantities beyond two for new phones, no. If they are used and you come in with them and you're actually using them and you have your lines in them, we have no problem whatsoever. And just I actually also remembered that it's important that the other challenge that we face while dealing mostly with our brothers and sisters that are returning from the diaspora is sometimes according to the East African Customs Management Act, which can be accessed as you download on Google. Just put East African Customs Management Act, Yakma, and there are things that are prohibited, and there are things that there are goods, to be specific, that are prohibited that we will not allow. And you have people bringing in used, wanting to ship in used computers. You have people wanting to ship in used tires for cars, goods, passenger carrying cars, and people want to bring in used tires. Those are prohibited goods. You're bringing in refrigerators which are used. No, those are not allowed. They are called contrabands. So meaning we will have to block them. Bringing in cosmetics that are for lightening and brightening, those are also prohibited. We will not allow. And then there are goods which, of course, just like I have referred you to the document, it has a very long list detail of all of them, so which you can get acquainted with. And then there are those which are restricted. Restricted means it's okay for you to bring them in, but then you need to have permission. There are people who bring in, they have maybe a pistol with them. And for you to be able to bring in, it's a firearm, but it is restricted. It may not be prohibited, but it's restricted, that you need to get a permission and clearance from Ministry of Defense. So for goods like those, some of us want to bring in drones, Drones, not the car, okay? The drones that fly in the air for capturing videos and doing functions. For security purposes, we can't just let everyone have and view whatever is happening in the country. Like, it's a restricted item. So those are common, and we have them so many at the airport withheld, and seek permission first. Gaming equipment, before you bring them in, know the goods that are restricted so that you obtain the necessary clearance before you can invest in them or bring them in. And those that are prohibited, please, we will not allow them, because we need to protect people in the country as one of our mandate as customs, and to also protect the borders of the country for security reasons. I thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that. The other question I've got, by the way, this, you must be having a challenge in regards to educating people, because I can see a man in Cavalry, he's got his business, his probably turnover is probably 10 million. But because of knowledge, he's going to speak to somebody who thinks he knows, and then he's misled. And then he's caught out after 5 years. Do you consider a situation like that? Because I'm sure they're there. Because knowledge is very, very powerful. I mean, I'm learning things today. But imagine a person in a village is running 5 million a month sort of business or year. And he's misled because of not knowing. And do you consider a situation like that?
Yes, Ian, we've had scenarios where someone actually finds himself in circumstances of not meeting the expectations of the taxman, and it wasn't willful. It was out of ignorance. And actually, if you may look at it, just the year that we have just gotten into, the Minister of Finance has passed through Parliament, of course, through Parliament. There has been that guidance that if someone has any outstanding obligations, which would have come with penalty and interest, as long as this person is willing to pay that tax to the full by 31st December, the other penalty and interest will not be considered. So we understand that there are people who don't know. They will do the right thing, but actually they don't know what even to start with. That is why we very, very heavily promoted the *285# for our local taxpayers here. *285#. On your phone, you don't even need internet. Okay? So our people here just need to be on *285#, and then you pay your tax instantly without even the requirement of having omugezi w'okukyala akutegeerera to assist you around your tax issues. And we are trying to make sure that people are able to serve themselves without going through middlemen, to reduce the cost they have to go through to pay their tax and declare to the taxman. So those challenges are there, and we are alive to them, but we are also promoting our service platforms online very, very intensively, that even anyone who is failing can call the toll-free number at URA to be assisted at whatever stage they are failing. So we are there, and we are alive to the challenges. We are expanding the tax education programs. Like I told you on the mobile outreach, where we take a bus, because I will tell you, if someone is aware of Kabale, our office is only in Kabale. So if you look at the districts of Kisoro is not so far, but the place is hilly. So you need to drive the URA office to have physical presence in Kisoro, like for a week. And that is what we do. We have a bus, 2 buses equipped with URA service environment. We bring it, advertise on the local radio, use the community radios. We have these loudspeakers in our townships. And we tell everyone we are here. Come for anything, URA, and we are going to serve you. And after 2 months, we tell you we will be coming back. For those who may not have gotten us, we'll be coming after 2 months. So we draw a calendar and we reach out to these places and we assist these people. But we still have work to do. I cannot hide from that. There is still a lot of work to do. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Of course, there's a lot of work, you guys. I mean, 1991. I know you said 30 years. It's not a
32.
long time to start a big venture like this. I mean, if you look at our neighbors in Dar es Salaam, their revenue collection system, or Kenya, it's still struggling yet to attend Canada. So it's a process. And don't forget that our society, we have just started learning about taxes now when we were growing up. It was Solanga Musolo. Our parents didn't do that. So the word Musolo was what? So when the idea came in, you have to pay taxes, we start rioting, we start getting confused. But now people are beginning to accept the fact that we have to pay tax. We do have to pay some sort of fee for the government to
Indeed.
collect the money for
Indeed.
various things, right? So it's a big task. You guys are doing quite well. You've now moved into technology. You were telling us the technology also increased with URA. People can check in online and stuff like that. I was actually looking, maybe if you don't mind sharing, I've just been looking at this your YouTube channel. Oh my God, it's it's in a different level altogether. I don't know whether you guys can see it, right? Look, that is the Uganda Revenue YouTube channel. I don't know whether you guys even knew about it. Look at all those videos they're telling us. So is it good? See, look at all those videos. 672 videos.
Yeah.
Telling you different things. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is really powerful. Oh, look at that's my cousin Martha. Oh my God. That is so cool. So yeah, so really that is something that you guys are doing quite well. I've got one more question, which I just came in
Yeah,
on YouTube again. They're saying that if, for example, I'm just trying to figure out. I couldn't write it properly, but I'm guessing it's on the phones. Yeah, he's talking about iPhone 13. So he's saying that where do you get your facts from? Because you go on Google. I mean, that's what I'm trying to put. You go on Google to find out the cost of iPhone 13, or where do you go? Where I suppose he wants to to know such that I just when I'm manufacturing, you know. I don't know whether that's your question. I think you want to find out where do you get your comparisons.
Yeah. Thank you so much. One, just like we said, that for us, when you bring goods, our primary method is that transaction. We ask for those documents. Now, whereas you may not have them or want to present to them, someone who came in a day before you or came in a week before you imported that same phone from that country where you are, and then they filed and gave us those documents. So that's why we say we look at transaction value that we give for people who bring in who have brought in maybe identical goods. It's when they are no identical that we go to similar. But when you import goods in URA, you are supposed to capture an entry. What we say for us to generate for you a tax payment, we capture them in our system, which is a SCUDA. Now that's the system that we use. Now in that system, at any time, I can go and see anyone that has brought in anything in this country, and I can retrieve their documents. I can compare. I can get even documents from the same supplier that you're claiming to have brought from, and someone else actually brought from that supplier and has a bigger invoice. So it is not Google that we end up going on to pick up this. No, 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 no. You'll not find that. So that's why you can't beat us at that. I can assure you. So you're safer having your documents because you will not beat us, because we have the information and we have the ability. URA has built capacity to be able to get information. Yeah, thank you. So
Okay.
the
Yeah.
only safe way out is come clean. Just bring the document.
Yeah, sure. I won't mention his name, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's the answer.
just come
Talking about
clean.
talking about that, there is a question that's come up on the chat. From Kawari, all the way from Kawari, Focus TV Kawari. Thank you very much for joining Focus TV Kawari. It says, if I apply for permission to bring in a drone and response delay, what can I do? Oh, and there's a delay in response.
Yeah. Now, in such circumstances, there are no moments where we act without permission. That moment does not happen when it comes to URA for goods that need permission. What we advise our clients is, if you really want to bring in some good, please do your application very like earlier on in time, allowing in time for knowing that it could delay response from different ministries, because those permissions are not given by us. Those permissions are by other government ministries that we work together with, that are responsible for regulating those particular items. So we would advise that before you even do the procurement, if you want to do your procurement, don't wake up today and want to procure it and ship it and ask for permission. No, let's plan in time. For me, that is the best way I would advise. I can't even say we will give it to you and then wait for document later. No, we won't. I will not lie.
Excellent. Very quickly, there's another question here from Kizito Francis. How do you determine the tax of a good?
Now, how we determine the tax of a good is we get the value, which I've been explaining to you, that if you have brought your goods via air, we will get the costs on your documents, which if you don't have, we will get either way. We will add the insurance. We will not add freight because we know air transport is very expensive. So you will not be able to afford those goods. So for air transport, we do the cost and insurance. We add them together. Now, depending on the item or depending on the good that we are taxing, and then we multiply it by the rate. Okay, we multiply by the rate. Say yes, say if there may be computers, and we're saying they are paying 24%, or goods are paying import, they are paying value VAT, and then they are paying withholding tax. So we will get that value that we will have gotten, we multiply times the tax will say be 24%. Then we'll get the 24% of the value. That is what we'll consider. If you bring the goods via water and road, then we'll consider the costs plus the insurance plus the freight. And then what we are saying is make sure that all other adjustments that should have been made have been made. Because as we look at all that, we require that you have made the necessary adjustments in time to your costs for us to be able to just apply the rate. But if we look at your costs and you were supposed to actually include some costs as part of the costs that actually form part of the cost of goods,
Yeah.
and you did not adjust them, then compulsorily we adjust. Say if you're telling us you have selling commission that should have been part of those goods and it was not included, and you're telling us I just have $90, your invoices, we will look at your contracts. Is there selling commission that was involved? If you did not add it, we'll add it back. We will add the cost of containers and packaging. We will add assets. Assets are more like if I want to say I want to import maybe a particular shoe, but then I know the industry in China does not have enough materials to be able to make this leather shoe that I want. I can decide and get cowhide from Uganda, and I give it to people in China free of charge to make for me the leather shoes. So once that is done, it means they will cost for you the shoe less. So we will not just go with that value because we know they didn't include the cost of the leather of the cowhide. So we will come and add that cowhide that you gave them free of charge because it's part of the cost of the goods. So you should have
Right.
adjusted it. Yes, there are license fees, royalty fees. You have any even proceeds from any subsequent sale that you could have done, or you have in your agreement, and you're like, I'm giving you my phone. I'm okay. I'm giving you my maybe my piece of shoe, each piece of shoe, and maybe I'm giving it to you at $2. Reason being that if you sell, but once you sell, you will be remitting $1 of your sales. So meaning
Okay.
indirectly, this person has considered that $1 as part of the cost of this shoe. And for you've not added it back. We find it in the contract, we find it's not added, we add it back. And there are those which are optional, maybe the cost of transport, loading and unloading, and then the insurance. So that is how we end up determining the value of the goods anyway. We just get the customs value. The value should
Right.
include all those adjustments. We do the duty rate. The duty rate that currently we apply, the rates are different. There's 0%, you will have 24%, you will have 60, you will have 80, you will have others are over 120. So all those depend on which item that you are importing.
Okay, this question I think is for Michael. Victoria Nachima is asking us here. As a manufacturer, I purchase machinery with a bank loan where I pay 0.5% to URA to register a shared mortgage for a loan to be granted. And again, I have to pay taxes once machinery is shipped in. Oh, okay. Isn't that a double taxation? Huh. That's a good one.
Yes. Thank you very much. We are looking at Victoria. She's my sister, Nachimera. Yes, as a manufacturer. Now we looked at the inputs that you bring in for manufacturing, and then we look at even the equipment. Many that come in without paying taxes. Okay. And for many of these imported items, I need to talk about withholding tax, for example, that is paid at importation, if it is paid under any circumstances. Remember, it is your prepaid tax. At the end of the day, when you're paying your income tax at the end of the year, some of the taxes that Rhoda is talking about that you pay at the importation, if you're registered in URA, we refund them, or we use them to reduce the tax that you have to pay at the end of the year. So that applies for value added tax and withholding tax. So these are offsets. And for some of these, there is even a window for you, if it is payable, to apply for deferment. Deferment, it means the expectation for you to pay is held until such a time. Okay, so at the time of importation, you apply and you will not pay the tax. But when in the future it is found that you have to pay that tax, then you pay it. So I don't see the double taxation, especially on taxes like withholding tax, that you use to reduce your end of year tax, okay, as a registered manufacturer. So it means your taxes on profit. You will say, I was supposed to pay this amount as tax on profit, but remember, I paid withholding tax at the border. So reduce it off my tax on profit. And that is not double taxation, therefore. If this manufacturer is registered for value added tax, if they paid any VAT at importation, when they are making their monthly VAT payments, it is also subtracted. So that is the balancing methodology that kicks out or removes the possible double taxation that you would expect. The only scenario is where you're not registered and therefore you're importing as a consumer. So in that case, that tax, it is borne. It's you who bears it in that case. So the scenario is there. Then we talked about she talked about the loan where she's paying 0.5%. Remember, all your costs in processing a loan are deductible costs. They are expenses that you are going through in order to acquire the loan facility. So that cost is also reduced as part of your expenses. And so we do that to make sure that the expense that you incurred is not part of the total income you've earned on which we charge tax. So it is very important that you keep your records, because for you to benefit from this, the URA guy will need to look at your loan agreements, your loan repayment schedule, and other elements involved in your loan facility. Thank you.
Excellent. And the URA guys are normally good people.
They are. It's about you. Yes, it's about you providing the information that is required, because we've seen scenarios where people have been withholding certain information. And actually, it's a major change. Yes, it's a major change that has come in this new year, because, we've just read the tax amendments. The way the parliamentarians have actually designed it now is that if URA has asked for some information from you and you've not provided that information during the process of, for example, URA says, please share with us your bank statement for us to settle this tax liability, and you do not provide a bank statement. And later in the process of resolving, or maybe it could be dispute resolution, or it could be during objections, then it is after that time when things have escalated that you say, by the way, there is this information. At that time, the information will not be allowed because the process of executing the penalties will have kicked in. So let's provide the information and we will come good. We are discussing people. We can talk things through. And even where you cannot,
We know
even
that.
where you cannot pay the tax, we can discuss installments. You can pay installments.
Yeah, true.
Excellent. I hope that has been
Yes.
answered well. Very quickly, is one question here from Maxine Walugembe. Do you have auctions for the imported goods to the outside market? And do you have any exceptions on medical devices? This is a very good one. Ha. Maxine, thank you very much for this one. Over to Rhoda, I think.
Oh, thank you, Moxin. Moxin is actually my young brother. I did Boston, Massachusetts. Greetings to you out there, the Walugembes. Comfort Walugembe, Moxin. Yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah. Mhm.
I didn't I didn't know that he has this much interest in tax. Do you have options? Yes. Do you have auctions for the impounded goods? Yes. For goods, if we impound goods that you bring in and you fail to pay taxes, we give you a lifetime, 6 months for you to warehouse your goods and pay for them, because we really want every person to pay their taxes. We give you 6 months. If you're not able to pay, we extend that period. You apply to the Commissioner Customs for an extension. So the period is extendable by only 3 more months. That's 9 months. Beyond that, then your goods will be put up for auction. True. Now, currently, the auction URA has automated almost every system. We are automated. Our automation, our auction is online. So meaning even everyone that is out there can actually participate in the auction. However, the difference is you will see the pictures, we will upload the pictures, and you will not be able maybe to come and physically see. But if you're in position, then you can come and see. And once the auction can be done online, if you see you want something and you want it, you bid. We consider the online bidding. And if you win it, you send your brother or your sisters to come and pick up those goods. So the auction is available. And then several times we have them at the headquarters Nakawa. On a few occasions, we've had a few at Mombasa, and that was specifically for motor vehicles. At a time when there were very many, they were auctioned at Mombasa. So the viewing was there. But ideally, all the goods that are for auction are in the customs warehouse at the headquarters. Then, do we have any exemptions to medical devices? Yes. In a bid to promote health in the health sector, then we actually offer most of the medical devices pay 0% import duty. So you just have to pay the withholding tax, and then you pay also the VAT. So which VAT you can still claim back. So literally you're paying almost like 6% for these goods. And if you're withholding tax registered, it means you will not pay the VAT, you will not pay the withholding tax, so you will take them at zero. So yes, for medical devices also listed under list of exemptions, several of them listed under there, you will be able to enjoy this benefit. Thank you so much.
Wow. Maxine, thank you very much for bringing this up, because I've just learned something today, that you've got an online auction system.
Yes, we do. Online
Wow.
auction system. Yes.
Wow. I think after this, we'll have to catch up and you give me all these details and then we send it out to the people. Because it's very, very important now, something like that. You would not think that we've got to that level, but well done. Well done, guys. Well done. So we have one more question, because I know it's getting late in Uganda. Derek is saying, question, what do I do if I have not filed taxes for years? I think that's what you know.
Yes. Now, it depends. You could be in a scenario where you have not earned any income that requires you to file tax returns. Now, I need to first state that persons whose only source of income is employment do not have to file tax returns with URA. If your only source of income, you have one primary source of income and it is employment, You do not have to file tax returns with Uganda Revenue Authority. And those where maybe we have non-resident payments and they earn, and the tax that is being charged from them is a final tax. You do not have to file tax returns with Uganda Revenue Authority. But if your income is in the form of a business or any form of business enterprise, then you're expected to file tax returns. Now, what do you do in the case you've not filed the tax returns? One, if the window is still open, you file the tax returns, okay? But usually in the period where you have not filed the tax returns and they were expected from you, we send you an assessment, because a tax return is you telling URA, this is what I earned and this is the tax I have to pay, okay? Or I made zero income and therefore I don't have tax to pay. So it is you making your own assessment. And so by not filing a tax return, you've not made your own assessment. And therefore what results is, a scenario is, URA sends you an assessment to which you have to do what? To object. So if you feel the assessment that has been sent to you is unfair, then you file an objection. The objection allows you to put your corrective version of events, and it is all available on the URA website, ura.go.ug. All you need is your tax identification number, the TIN, and password. And there are also video guides to this on the URA TV channel to assist you through the process. Thank you.
Yes, that was a very fantastic answer, as always. I think it's getting late now because you guys are still in the office. Rhoda, you're still in the office. So I think let's come to the end. We've got so many questions. What I will probably do is anybody who's got any questions to email them to me, and then I can forward them to, or they can email you directly.
Ian.
Okay. Yes, please.
For those that are interested in the auction, then you can find us under the single window. You go to the website, singlewindow.go.ug, and then go straight under auction. Well, there you'll find all the auctions of URA. It's HTTPS, and then singlewindow.go.ug. Then under there, go under auctions. You will find.
Is this the one? This is the website, single window.
Yeah, where you if you want to, yes.
Okay, so guys, this is the website. It is straightforward. It's packed with information. Definitely.
Which one? This is the URA.
Yes.
No. Go to single window. Type in single window.
Okay. One word.
Single window.
Yeah.
.go.ug.
Okay.
Single window .co.ug.
Let's take a bit the windows. Let's see.
Single window, because you put windows. Single window.
A window as in one window. Okay, single window. Let's look at this. Anyway, we'll look at it later. Not to waste. Single as in like in single, eh?
Yes.
It is .go. Go.
Single window .go.ug.
.go.ug.
Yeah, I can see it.
You make life difficult, but now make it easy. .com.ug.
Yes.
Wow.
There you go. Yes.
And then you can bid a video magal or kugula, and oh my God. Yeah. Excellent. Oh my God. Thank you so much, guys. So any closing remarks or from any closing remarks, Rhoda?
Thank you so much, Ian. For me, it is to appreciate our taxpayers and to say that tax is not as complicated as it sounds. If we appreciate it and get to know it more, I believe we will be glad that we are developing our country together. Feel free to reach us on any site, on any handle, everywhere. there's a team that is ready at any time to respond to you. And to K Media, thank you for sharing your space with us and for hosting us today. Other than that, I can sign out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Michael?
Thank you, Rhoda. Thank you, KI Media. And thank you, everyone who has joined us on this platform to share. We would like to appreciate you very much for the questions, because I think they made this more engaging. We ask for another opportunity again, because I think you saw we were running through things faster than this could have been on the Rhoda's Day, and she would have had a series of sessions again to get our people to appreciate the depth of these things. But on behalf of my colleagues, again, here at URA and the guys behind the KI Media setup there, we thank you and we look forward to another session. It's a new year, a new financial year. Let's go out and do a bit of what we've discussed here. And if there are any questions and feedback, our platforms are available. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. And that's it, guys. We'll come to the end of today's webinar. And I have learned a lot. I hope you guys have learned a lot. And I know Mike and Rhoda will be emailing each other tomorrow, because people will be asking questions. And Rhoda and Michael told me that they have an open door policy where you can email them anytime, you can call them, because information is very powerful. We all need to know. We learn something every day. Even the professors learn something every day. Okay, and knowledge is very powerful. That's why Care Media and Brand Uganda comes into play, because when you live abroad, you sort of like get detached from Uganda. So we thought maybe we can connect Ugandans to Uganda, because I personally, I go back to Uganda every Christmas. Something has changed. You lose track. So things like this, webinars like this, we learn the tax policies. So when I go with my drone to Entebbe Airport, I don't have to lie to Rhoda. Rhoda will arrest me, stuff like that. Otherwise, thank you very much, guys, and God bless you all. Thank you.